All right, hello and welcome to the Benzo Rehab Dungeon, episode 70. It is the 10th of December, 2021. I'm your host, Michael Deebs. Not joining us today is Danko Suvin from the Instagram handle at DankTheLuz. He had a previous engagement, which, you know, if you put in your off time ahead of time, I'm very comfortable with it. Unrelated, joining me as usual sometimes is John, the producer from the Instagram handle at Discopathic, which is a very active Instagram page.
Oh yeah.
John, I've just said horrible
content.
things about you for like a minute. How are you doing today?
Oh yeah, no, I'm great, and I'd just like to mention to the viewer and management that it's easy to schedule your off time ahead when you're bringing brought up on federal racketeering charges. Yeah.
All right, well, that's the new lore is Danko is fighting federal racketeering charges right now. They were kind enough to give him 2 weeks notice, which is what I require for time off requests. Cool. Well, how have you been anyways?
Oh, just slowly grinding my joints to dust, but good.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty all right. Not top of the world all right, but making it and not really having to fake it all the time. All right. So
that's good.
That is good. I would like to introduce a new member to the show. Have this ice bucket now. So now I don't have to drink warm drinks for the second half of the show. When the ice melts and yeah. Cool, great.
Fancy. Wish I could afford an ice bucket.
Well, I actually got it as a Secret Santa gift for my company's party. I say my company for the company party, which is associated with the place I work at. We're doing some general news today. We've done some more pointed topics the last 2 times, and a lot's been going on in the world. So let's go ahead and go to the first link. It should be queued up on. That's the. All right, so this is Russell Brand, who, God, I timestamped it. I was gonna make us watch the first part of it, and I was like, man, who can watch this guy for like more than a couple of minutes?
It's so fucking hard.
It's obnoxious. It's like, oh, mate, I'm just on a fucking journey here, ain't I?
Well, like I think what's the worst about it is that like for about 5 seconds you'll be thrown off because like 5 neurons will flash at each other. And then he'll go off about like ghost and rocks or some shit.
Yeah, he does that so much, and it's really weird, but yeah, so this is him talking about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, people are going crazy because Dana, what's his fucking name? Dana White from the UFC. He's the UFC guy, the guy that runs it, the guy that owns it.
It's like a guy who couldn't hack it as a cop.
Yeah.
So started $1 billion gladiatorial.
So he started a second gladiatorial. Not pleased enough with cop violence, he decided that I'll just get 2 guys and make them punch each other in a ring. So Dana White got COVID. uh, took all of the medications that Joe Rogan, you know, believes people should take when they get COVID. Magically felt better immediately because he's got that fuck you money, and now we've got people like we'll see Russell Brand here, and then Jimmy Dore, claiming that Joe Rogan is some kind of like anti-vax hero, or not anti-vax hero, but anti big pharma hero, um, which I aim to disprove. So let's go ahead and watch Russell Brand, who.
No.
The article, the issue actually begins and ends with the integrity of CNN's content. I believe that's right. Remember, this is in the Washington Post, man. If we take Rogan's prescription claim at face value and CNN hasn't challenged it, the network's coverage was slanted in some cases and straight up incorrect in others. In this instance, you don't have to endorse Rogan to abhor CNN's coverage of this topic. Well, it's good to hear
That is
kind of
correct, by the
coverage
way.
in a.
Yeah, those are the 5 neurons.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
now-
Exactly as you said. This is where it's like, oh yeah, they kind of did misreport that Joe Rogan was taking horse dewormer. Ivermectin has a human variant that you can take. You shouldn't take it if you don't have worms, so it's like a dumb thing to take. But if you got a shit ton of money, you can tell a doctor, I want to take ivermectin, and the doctor will be like, yes sir, right away sir. And he'll give you the proper dosage. He or she or they will give you the proper dosage, and it's fine to take it. Should you take it when you don't have worms? No. Doesn't matter. Also, no.
If you have COVID, then your hypothetical worms have COVID, right?
So yes, there was a bit, and this is not something we haven't talked about before, where news media journalists used in the most loose sense possible have kind of misreported, the ivermectin thing as being horse dewormer, and full stop. That's all it is. Thankfully, that's not all it is. There are people who take it for legitimate reasons. There's people who take it in Joe Rogan's circumstance. But anyways, he's talking about that. Let's go on.
What you call a mainstream media resource, and we often look at mainstream media and try to find content within it that we feel is at least open to various potential outcomes. As you know, if you're a regular viewer of this channel, I'm on an ongoing journey of discovering, oh, I thought this, no, you're wrong. You read the comments, you see what people actually think. You get the benefit, the privilege of thousands, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, 4 million plus subscribers, all of the various opinions, insights, personal experiences. And as long as you're not pushing a particular agenda, and as far as I know, I'm not.
Go ahead and pause right there.
You have the.
So he makes the claim that he's not pushing a particular agenda, which is fucking wrong. All right. So this whole like, I'm just on a journey of self-discovery and I'm learning everything and I'm not pushing an agenda. I just choked. Oh man. Excuse me. It was the curse of Russell Brand. He is pushing an agenda. He will immediately after seeing this start pushing an agenda of Joe Rogan as an anti-big pharma hero sort of guy or sort of thing. He'll push an agenda that, and he has some fair points, but he's also misrepresenting how things work, which we'll get into later. But he absolutely does push an agenda. Anytime you say anything positively, you are pushing some kind of agenda. And his claim, I'm not pushing an agenda, I'm just here talking and listening and learning. He does push agendas in that, same as Joe Rogan, who would probably say something like, I'm just a dude asking questions, bro. No, they both push agendas. And so anytime someone says, I'm not pushing an agenda, they're at least pushing an agenda of I'm not pushing an agenda, but they still are pushing an agenda regardless. Continue.
the advantage of changing and learning. And one of the people that I must say was an influence on me was Joe Rogan. From the times I've been on his podcast, I learned a lot. Now let's have a look at this montage, which I'd see it before on another YouTuber's video. You have a look at this montage of the relationship between just one pharmaceutical company and various broadcast outlets in your country, America.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer.
CBS Health Watch sponsored by Pfizer.
Anderson Cooper 360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Every single degree of that 360 is sponsored by Pfizer, but we still have a really clear outlook when it comes to subjects related to Pfizer. Now, a lot of you, I know, when I say stuff about capitalism, particularly things that are anti-capitalism, you go, no, this isn't, well, the free market's a great thing. Now, let me use this example to further advance my argument. If you have a media organization that is to some degree controlled, and by controlled I mean financially dependent upon a particular organization, for example, obviously Pfizer. If Pfizer spend a lot of money with CNN, do you think that CNN are going to...
What was in that edit?
Just that all these news organizations have sponsors, which is fair. It's a fair.
Well, yeah.
It's a fair
Well,
thing.
I meant
to say.
that jump cut. I mean, I always wonder what happened. to make it work.
Oh, you were talking
Yeah.
about the edit on his.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. He probably said something like, "I hate Jews" or something. I don't know.
Probably.
That's probably not true. That's probably not true.
No, I mean, he's probably super into like Jewish mysticism.
Yeah, that is probably true. He probably loves Jews, but like in a weird, problematic way. He's fetishized them.
Yeah, like he jerks off of some type of what's it called? The Kabbalah beads or something like that. There's just a drawer of weird Jewish witch beads filled with cum.
He's got You made me say it wrong. Kabbalah anal beads. We only have to watch a little bit more of this before we're done with the Russell Brand for the night.
Criticize Pfizer in the same way they would if Pfizer didn't spend a lot of money there. Do you have that kind of faith? And this probably doesn't apply to just CNN. There's probably numerous financial interests and numerous networks that are embedded within one another. In fact, the system itself is just various sets of these relationships interacting. That's why I figure like Joe Rogan is fascinating, because due to an anomaly, because of a technical advance, because of the internet, because of podcasts, because of his own personal endeavor, set of talents and various other things, that you could list, he ain't gone through that channel. He's sort of whisked through the lucky sperm. He's not had to hit the prophylactic of corporate
those jump cuts,
He's
right?
not being stymied by the regulations and controls that usually would come along with that level of success. Now, this montage is just a visual. When I first saw this, I was awestruck by it. I couldn't believe it. This ain't new, but it's still shocking.
ABC News Nightline.
Are we going to be awestruck?
We don't need to watch any more of that. Basically, he makes this claim that Joe Rogan is independent, and therefore Joe Rogan couldn't possibly be acting in favor of big pharma in any way. We will go now to Jimmy Dore, who I really didn't want to ever talk about again.
Yeah, I'm actually really surprised that he has not been killed by those two people that he's kidnapped. There's like two people in the corner, off to the side. Right?
His production team, right?
Oh, that's who those people are. I
believe he
swear
pays
that,
them.
Yeah, I just swear that they blink SOS in unison together in Morse code the whole time that they're laughing.
He seems
at
to
his
have
stupid
replaced
jokes.
his old production crew with some people who were, I don't know, simps, I guess. I don't know. So here Jimmy Dore goes on the full attack against Big Pharma eventually. Again, he mixes up some decent points with like the wrong conclusion, essentially. Did CNN misreport Joe Rogan? Yes, of course. Does that mean that Joe Rogan is anti-Big Pharma? Does that mean he's fighting Big Pharma? No, and we'll find out soon why. So go ahead and play this.
That's the video they put up. That's the original video. They made a video from his phone look worse. Not better, worse on purpose. So why would CNN feel a need to go out of their way to lie about Joe Rogan and Ivermectin continuously? Why? Because they're funded by Big Pharma, and Joe Rogan is more popular than them, probably 10 times more popular than CNN, if not more.
I know it's more because I saw somebody complaining in a tweet that more people watch him than Anderson Cooper. I saw somebody couldn't
Oh, yeah,
believe
way
it.
more people watch him than I'm talking like 10 times more people.
Yeah.
So if 1 million people watch Anderson Cooper, 10 million watch Joe Rogan. It's something that those would be that's I don't know how many people. I doubt 1 million people watch.
I like how he has to
Anderson
say,
Cooper.
I don't know, but I bet.
I just want to remind people this is another great story to. If people in Eastern Europe turn on the news, they know it's propaganda. If people in Western Europe turn on the propaganda, they think it's the news.
Deep.
Is that
Hashtag
Yakov
deep right
Smirnoff?
there.
It sounds like it.
Russia. Propaganda watches you.
So I don't understand why people, people again, all the nutless wonders who have YouTube shows who consider themselves lefties on YouTube, how they know Big Pharma is 100% corrupt, liars, criminals. They pay billions of dollars in fines for lying all the time. But somehow, if they're too scared and cowardly to have a critique of this, and when somebody does, they shit on them, like me. Because
Well, I think people just shit on Jimmy Dore because Jimmy Dore is shit.
Yeah, because he sucks. Yeah, no, he's doing the I'm aggrieved thing. People are coming after me for no reason. If I ever do shit like this, please shoot me in the fucking head, because I've clearly lost the thread whenever I make it personal about my own ego.
When you start to make yourself a big,
martyr.
well-paid fucking martyr.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So continue.
Because they don't have the balls to actually push back against the bullshit that's inside the COVID narrative from the establishment, the bullshit that's from CNN. They don't even have the balls to tell you the truth about a medicine that's on the WHO's list of essential medicines. Did you know that? Yes. And again, this is not to say that ivermectin treats COVID-19. That is not what we're saying. We're saying
Good
that they
backtrack,
lied
buddy.
about it, that it wasn't a human medicine. Why would they need to do that? Why do you think they would need to do that? Why do you think they would need to do that? Why don't you go and look up some of the studies? Why don't you go watch Dr. Joseph Campbell? What's his name?
So not to support CNN.
Yeah.
And also it's because I think that they do think of themselves as like some type of nanny shepherd of society.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No. CNN
that-
sucks. I've said this consistently for a long time.
Yeah. And that they think that they can control idiots from taking like lethal doses of anti-parasitics.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I mean is, pretty arrogant that they think they have that much influence.
Name?
Not Campbell.
John Campbell.
John Campbell. Go watch his videos about it. It's on YouTube. And then you'll know why they had to lie. And then you'll know why they had to lie. And you're the sucker. And instead of being pissed off at CNN for lying to you or the media lying to you continuously and propagandizing you, people still get mad at Joe Rogan. People are mad at Trevor Noah. Why? Because it's a fucking cult now. And fear has gotten into every shit lib's brain, and now they're no longer allowed to have a critical thought about anything to do with the biggest story and consequential happening of our time, which is COVID and the response from our government. And we're the only one doing that.
The only one.
The Jimmy Dore show.
So you can go ahead and pause it there. Go to the next link. So Dana White explains why he sought out Joe Rogan for COVID-19 treatment advice. If we go down a little bit, yeah, right there. So there's a quotation paragraph. He said, "Get monoclonal antibodies in you as soon as possible." So I did. I had the monoclonal antibodies. This is like such a weird way. Get the monoclonal antibodies in you. So I got them in me. Then he told me to do a NAD drip. I did that right after the next day. So Sunday.
There's a lot of ball stuff
Yeah.
in all these clips that we've been watching.
So Sunday at 8 o'clock, I have no taste or smell. I get up Tuesday, ready to shave, cleaning my razor. I could smell the alcohol. My taste and smell were back by the next day by 11 o'clock. Then I took a dose of Ivermectin. It's like it's already like working, and then he like still takes Ivermectin anyways. And yesterday I did a vitamin drip, and today I'm doing another NAD drip. So here's the thing about Joe Rogan being Dorian is in the comments. I guess he's listening to us, which I don't know why, but hey, your day off and you still come into work. I'm proud of you, bud. Dorian says nobody likes Trevor Noah. What the fuck? That's true. There's been some other comments. I'll read them real quick. Sorry, Danko says Russell Brand, more like Brussels brained. Nice work. HC says the biggest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince humans there's such a thing as neutrality. Madison says if you say you're not pushing an agenda, you're definitely pushing an agenda. Yeah. And then Red Caledon hates Jimmy Dore. So yeah, when they try to present Joe Rogan as like an anti big pharma guy, right? What are the things Joe Rogan is recommending? Monoclonal antibodies and fucking ivermectin. So let's go ahead and go to the next link. So the price of the, could you zoom in a little bit? Sorry, it's like really small on my screen.
Yeah.
So the cost of a single dose of the vaccine is somewhere around like there we go. It's like $2.15 per dose. South Africa is paying $5.25 per dose because of course, but really like the actual cost to produce this is like $1.18 or something like that per dose. So it's actually a very cheap vaccine, all things considered. Could you go up a little bit? I think it's somewhere early in the article that it says down a little bit. Yeah, I should have linked this to the actual quote, but I forgot to. It's something like $1.18 to produce one of them. I think the Moderna, and then it's like $2 for the AstraZeneca one or something like that. Very cheap vaccine, all things considered. Let's go ahead and go to ivermectin, the next link. Ivermectin, with a 73% coupon, will run you $34. So this is something to keep in mind, that ivermectin is several times more expensive than the COVID vaccine. Let's go ahead and go to the next link, or no, just the next link. Sorry.
I can't work like this.
Yeah, well, you gotta. So scroll down a little bit. Monoclonal antibodies cost $1,250 per infusion. And ivermectin is made by Merck, and monoclonal antibodies are made by Regeneron. So I forget what the fucking name for the monoclonal antibodies is.
Regeneron doesn't sound like an evil corporation from like an 80s fucking sci-fi movie.
Yeah, right. Well, we have good news. Go ahead and go to the next link. So I mentioned that Ivermectin is owned by Merck. Merck's net worth is $184 billion. So Joe Rogan's first recommendation is to buy medication manufactured by a company that is worth $184 billion. This is the anti-big pharma solution, mind you.
Oh yeah, they're a few billion dollars. They're worth a few billion dollars less.
Yeah, less than Pfizer, right? Like, oh man, I bet they're really hurting. Go ahead and go to the next link. And then we've got Regeneron, which is worth $71.59 billion. So Joe Rogan's, suggestion of ivermectin and monoclonal antibodies are two. One is worth hundreds of billions. The other one is worth tens of billions of dollars. Companies. So this idea that Joe Rogan is like anti-big pharma while he recommends two medications made by companies that are worth billions of dollars, have insane amounts of capital to just throw around at all these kind of things. Like, yeah, maybe he's not paid by Merck or Regeneron. Does that mean that he is not also like supporting big pharma in this way? No, of course not. He's just dumb enough to support them regardless. So that was something, when it comes to criticizing big pharma, there's plenty to criticize big pharma about. I worked for a company that supplemented big pharma, and it was a fucking nightmare. It was one of the most dangerous jobs I ever worked because they did not care about worker health and safety. All they cared about was turning those millions of dollars of profit each year to make. Basically, we made ingredients for larger pharmaceutical companies. Big pharma has plenty to criticize about how they price gouge everything. Absolutely. Do I think that the COVID vaccine should cost as much as it does? No, probably not. Insulin in America costs maybe like $1 to make for like an entire month's of doses, and it still costs people like $500 to $1,000 to get for each month. Like, those are the things where you should criticize big pharma. A vaccine that's literally being handed out for free right now, probably not the thing that you need to assault big pharma for. And when you think about it, these people who are pumping all these other alternative medications as like the solution to COVID, those make those companies more money than the vaccine does. So these anti-big pharma guys are actually like contributing to a bigger profit margin in my mind than the vaccine is. So it is a dumb surface level critique of something that doesn't like actually work.
Yeah, or because I mean I know that they are trying to capitalize on it. Of course they're
of course they are. Yeah,
they're trying to make money.
They're
like,
doing
we're the ones that made the vaccine or whatever.
Yeah,
but ultimately, like, do they really think that the vaccine is going to give them that much clout? Like, people are going to be like, I want my Oxycontin from fucking Pfizer.
Well,
fucking, I don't want that fucking.
Honestly, they kind of do, because
really, you think so?
Yeah, when the vaccine was like first like becoming popular, once Trump was out of office and libs were like, oh, I can take the vaccine now because it's not Trump's vaccine. People were, talking about like, oh, I've got the Moderna or I've got the Pfizer. And yeah, some of them were doing it like jokingly, but they were also like really they were essentially like girl bossing these fucking big pharma companies.
I guess that is true.
Yeah. So there's brain rot on a lot of sides of this conversation, without a doubt.
Yeah, I shouldn't think positively. I should assume people are just absolutely terrible.
Yeah, you've obviously been off your medications for a while if you're thinking
Yeah.
positively.
Yeah. Where's my intrusive thoughts pills?
HC in the comments says, I think we should thank anti-vaxxers for the free shots. Yeah. More
Yeah.
for me. Which is actually kind of fucked up because a lot of third world countries aren't getting access to it right now because we've got the Angela Merkel government over in Germany saying no, these patent laws need to remain, and then we've got the Joe Biden government in the USA saying no, these patent laws need to remain, and we can't just like, I don't know, open source the fucking vaccine so that the rest of the world can get it. And you know, this is not what should be the motivation, but the longer we keep poor countries from getting the vaccine, the more, you know, variants we're going to develop, the more it's going to become like a systemic part of our life. I think we've already crossed the threshold of we're going to hear about COVID for the rest of our lives, and that sucks, but it is what it is now.
Oh yeah, and they're gonna sound, the names of them are gonna sound more and more like Autobot names.
Yeah, Omicron. That's even if that's like the naming convention that works or whatever. And this is something that maybe the STEM nerds should take into account. If you land on the name Omicron for your next COVID variant, just call it something else, you know?
Yeah.
People fudge the numbers all the time, just fudge the fucking letters here, you know? Just name it something else like bad variant 2. Because Omicron
7.
sounds made up, and everybody thinks it's made up now. And I can't blame some of them, but also like, yeah, it's real and it's gonna suck.
Yeah, no, and like I've talked to STEM nerd friends, and it's like I'm totally interested in like what you have to say, but you say it in a way that I don't want to listen to you.
Exactly. I just blank out and I stop caring.
Yeah. It's like I remember Omicron and a couple of high numbers, and you said bad at the end.
So Dorian, third hosting from the comments says, yes, I would like 2 doses of ivermectin and 3 doses of monoclonal antibodies. No, I would not like 1 subsidized vaccine. I'm trying to battle pharma. Which is exactly what's happening here. Shit. Let's go ahead and hit the next link up. We're gonna switch gears to pollution now. Yeah, that fucking banner advertisement is so big.
Oh man, yeah, it is.
I'm not.
Oh, there we go.
There, you just gotta. Okay, there. You just gotta keep scrolling down. So the military poisoned hundreds of people in Pearl Harbor. and you know, that this says hundreds of military families. I don't like this headline because it's also regular people who just fucking have to live in Hawaii because that's where they were born and raised, and the military machine works in such a way that it's like dominated this fucking harbor.
You know, that just sounds like fake news, and you hate America because obviously Hawaii was abandoned without people for thousands of years before military families got there.
They were actually having a bad time before we came in with the military industrial complex and poisoned their water. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit. So this is it's hard to find good articles on this. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out here because there's not a lot of heavy reporting on, hey, the military just poisoned hundreds of families. I don't know why the big news media isn't covering this a whole lot. Normally they're very critical of the military. But this is all written from the perspective of somebody who's on like military housing. It talks about how the dog was like didn't want to drink the fucking water anymore, and then the rest of the family started feeling sick. Burness's husband is in the U.S. Navy, so that makes her a dependa. Their family is among hundreds of military families living near Pearl Harbor with similar complaints after the Navy's water system somehow became contaminated by petroleum. Somehow is a very weird word to use here because we know exactly how it was contaminated, which is that the military has these giant, several tens of thousand-gallon tanks of like diesel fuel and other fuels for the big military base there. Pearl Harbor obviously served as a major base during World War II. A lot of these tanks are from the era of World War II, and they have not done proper maintenance on them since World War II, which was, John, how many years ago? 80 years ago?
Yeah, like last week, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
I
think you're being a little too hard on them.
Well, you know me. I hate the new weak military. I want to go back to the old days where you would beat a private to death for not properly maintaining his 10,000-gallon diesel fuel storage tank.
Yeah. Now we just ruin their lives financially.
Yeah.
Yeah, not enough.
So on Wednesday, this is the paragraph at the bottom here. On Wednesday, Hawaii's Department of Health said that a sample of Navy tap water from an elementary school had tested positive for a petroleum product. And on Thursday, the Navy announced that tests had identified petroleum in its Rest Hill well, which taps into an aquifer near the base. Important that it says aquifer near the base, because that aquifer also serves a lot of residents in the area. Like I said, this is being reported on as like a, oh no, the poor military families thing, more than in as much as it is being reported, which is not being reported very much. It's being reported as like, oh no, the tragic military families, not, oh no, the tragic indigenous like natives of the land that we've invaded and taken as our 50th state, even though they didn't really want to be ever, etc. Go ahead and go to the next link.
So I did find something interesting. The Navy's going to flush clean water through its distribution system.
From where, right? You
know, where are they going?
Where are you finding all this clean water?
Why aren't you drinking it? But Red Caledon, I thought also reminded me of a good point. He says this is just Camp Lejeune version 2 or 3 or whatever we're at.
Right, because Camp Lejeune had a black mold issue, has a black mold issue. I'm sure that they probably didn't fix it. Yeah, which was literally poisoning people on the base, getting people very sick. I know that on the base we were on, Camp Pendleton, there were several issues with water supplies being contaminated. Maybe Dorian will pop up in the comments again as the third host from the back seat, but we've talked before about how military bases are Superfund sites by definition. A Superfund site is an area of like extreme contamination that needs to be mitigated in some way.
Yeah, no, and I'll meet brain broken people who've never been in the military when, you know, I say like, oh yeah, no, for sure, like the all these chemicals and nuclear arsenals are, you know, the people guarding them, you know how to kill people good.
Yeah.
But they were given a 4-day course on how to maintain this fucking petroleum tank.
Yeah,
if that, you
absolutely.
know what I mean? Like 1 day out of their 2-week MOS school was how to check the petroleum tank for leaks.
And then you know, the solution here that's like being given to the people affected by this is like, oh, the Navy is like setting up showers for people with clean water. The Army is handing out water bottles, and the Marines are like, I don't know, fucking the dirt into submission or something. But that costs much less than like actually maintaining the system, which is what they should have done. So the response to it, they're kind of in like a we're putting out a fire sort of scenario, but putting out the fire in this case is easier than just maintaining it and not poisoning thousands of people who may have lifelong effects from being poisoned in this way.
Yeah, because arguably the military is good at putting out fires, but if they light 95% of them,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
It's a problem.
That is what we would call a problem. Go ahead and go to the next link. This is Abby Martin from the Empire Files accidentally snuck into the UN climate change conference. She didn't accidentally sneak. They accidentally let her in, I think.
Yeah.
She does really good work over at the Empire Files. I don't know her personally or anything like that. I'm just plugging it because I think it's a good organization, podcast, show, whatever. But here she is at the UN Climate Change Conference. This was back in November 9th. Like an ominous foreshadowing of what's happening in the last couple of weeks in Hawaii. Go ahead and play this clip. It's pretty funny.
Is this guy right here succumbing to brain cancer from listening to this?
Yeah, he looks like he's in pain a bit.
Yeah, like the weak are falling out first, so hopefully we'll be okay.
There is a funny note about like ID politics in this whole thing, because Nancy is going to ask specifically for a woman to ask a question, and then she gets maybe not the person she was looking for as a woman.
Is it going to be one of those like, I'd like to hear from a person of color from the audience, and then the person of color stands up and is just like, "Fuck you, you fucking
yeah," and then
corporate."
it turns out to be Malcolm X or something. Yeah, basically.
Your opinions are valid, but we're going to move on.
Yeah, no, the non-answers here are great.
Oh God, already with the hands.
I want a woman.
Can you turn it up, John?
Oh yeah.
Maybe I don't. Let's see.
Abby Martin with the Empire Files. Speaker Pelosi, you just presided over a large increase in the Pentagon budget. This Pentagon budget is already massive. The Pentagon is a larger polluter than 140 countries combined. How can we seriously talk about net zero if there is this bipartisan consensus?
I love watching people's facial expressions. It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Where this her like looking at like a handler or security
dejected
or something.
like dejected. Oh, she's gonna ask a real question. Who the fuck let this person in? Sort of like
trying to keep her face under control, seeing which camera's looking at her from what angle.
If there is this bipartisan consensus to constantly expand this large contributor to climate change, which is exempt from these conferences. Military is exempt from climate talks.
Well, I just want to use an example if I can. The sea level rise is an important part of what's happening to the climate. And I am not a defense person, but I've had so many talks with the Defense Department, with the Navy in particular, about how they have to respond to what's going on. So I really do think that there is no reason why what we're putting together, with Build Back Better and other things, can't respond to the Defense Department and have the same impact in terms of reducing emissions. And I do think that the Defense Department is very much aware of the fact that they have to play a major role, both from a strategic as well as, for the good of the world. So I don't see what we're doing in any way, or, increasing the defense budget as being something that's inconsistent with climate action. I really don't.
And may I just add that the National Security Advisor,
he did not say anything.
Yeah. She just brought up that they don't have to follow the rules.
Yeah, and he's saying, yes, they understand it's a security threat, so of course they're talking about it. And it's like understanding that something it's a security threat is not the same as saying I'm going to stop doing something. We've known for, I don't know, 2 decades that what we're doing in Afghanistan is a security threat to some degree, because what we end up doing is making more radicals than we're killing. Not making a moral judgment on what's going on there, but that's just the bare facts of it. We've known that for a long time, that our engagements in the Middle East make more radicals than we get rid of. And whether or not those radicals are right or wrong, different discussion for a different time. But when he says, "Oh, the military understands that, it's like a risk or a threat or something they have to respond to," the military's response to it is, "How do we kill all these fucking people that are going to start coming to our country because their countries are flooding?" And Nancy Pelosi is going to say the same fucking thing essentially, and both of these things don't actually respond to climate change in such a way that they're going to like fix it or change it or alter their behavior. Except in like, how are we going to kill all these people that are trying to come into our country now?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and it's like, well, just because they are exempt from the rules, only follow the rules when
doesn't mean that they don't know the rules exist.
And that they won't follow the rules in the future that don't apply to them.
Advisors all tell us that the climate crisis is a national security matter. It is, of course, a health matter for our children, the water they drink, the air they breathe, etc. It is a jobs issue between good, clean technologies being the future of our workforce and the training for all of that. It is a national security issue because of the all of the conditions that climate crisis produces. I won't go into all of them, but they
go ahead and pause it right there. Why won't she go into them? Because the conditions that that climate change produces for the security apparatus is, we're gonna have to kill a lot more people that are coming to our country. Is that why she maybe doesn't want to go into them? And again, framing it as a national security issue is so telling, because that's exactly what they mean. But they don't know how to mask it. Like,
yeah.
It's a national security issue. Well, what's national security? National security is like maintaining peace within our borders, I guess. So you maintain peace within our borders by killing everybody that's trying to come over here.
See, she's trying not to let it slip.
Yeah.
About the giant seafaring lawnmower that they're developing.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
To mow over all of the third world immigrants trying to flee their flooded, including American third world immigrants fleeing their flooded their lands.
Yeah,
that's what the $200 billion is for.
People from like the lower Louisiana area that are going to have to migrate, Florida,
Alabama, parts of Texas.
Yeah, parts of Texas. Yeah, all those internal migrants that are going to have to move to, God bless their souls, the Midwest.
Oklahoma.
Oh my God. We don't hate Oklahoma here.
Oh, we don't? I'm sorry.
Well,
I
we dislike the people in charge of Oklahoma. I'm trying to be a gentleman here and use these tweezers for my new, but I'm working.
Yeah, use your hands like a heathen.
Yeah, use my hands like a fucking man. Continue this clip.
Migration, conflict over habitat and resources, and again, a security challenge globally, and then
a security challenge,
the moral issue that we need to pass on this planet to future generations in a responsible way. Now, recognizing what you said, we recognize that as well, and a big user of fuel. There have been many initiatives over time, more successful with more technology, to convert from fossil fuel to other sources of fuel to run the military, because it would make the biggest difference.
You can't switch to other fuels to run the military.
No.
Just
Like,
plain and simple.
yeah, we can't transfer over the entire arsenal to electric.
You can't. I
Like
mean,
overnight, or not in 1 decade, 2 decades, or 3 decades.
show me the electric bomber plane. Show me the electric jet fighter. Show me the non-diesel like military freighter or electric I don't know, fucking Humvee. Like none of these things exist for a fucking reason. The the efficiency, not efficiency in like terms of like what's green or not, but the efficiency of fuel and motors and like the ability to like move it all over the place. It's just, that's how the military is always going to fucking run. It's always going to be fuel dependent. You know, we see stupid things like fucking battery operated buses and shit like that. And I've got bad news for everybody who believes that we can run like public transit off of green energy all the time. Yeah, you can do things like trains off of green energy usually. But things like buses, the energy like coefficients and like the need to charge these batteries and the weight of the batteries versus like the areas you're traveling in, there's never going to be a battery operated bus just by virtue of how all these energy systems work. The same thing is true for the military. Like I said, there's never going to be the electric jet fighter. It is always going to be powered by jet fuel. So, you know, it's nice to say things like, oh, we're looking into energy alternatives. You can look into them all you want. That's never going to happen.
Yeah, no, I've had people like bring up I'll bring up like construction or something like that. You know, like you're never going to get like a piece of heavy equipment with a superstructure, basically a power plant on it that runs off of diesel.
Exactly. Right.
You're never going to get battery operated that, and then they'll like, you know, be like, oh well, look at this motor, it runs off of that electricity, and it's like, well, that's hooked up to 480 volts and hooked up to the grid.
Right.
You know, like
which is powered by either some massive like hydroelectric dam or some fucking nuclear power source or
yeah.
Let's see, we got some comments rolling in.
Oh yeah, the Dorian says
yeah, I'll let you read that one.
Yeah. Could I get a question from a house N-word in the audience?
Yeah.
Oh.
HCS, what I'm drinking, it's vodka and cranberry juice. I started out with a vodka and Red Bull, you know, gets me pumped up for the podcast. Okies all have weird bad butts. I should know, my dad is an Okie. Dorian wants nuclear powered jet planes. Yeah, that'd be cool, I guess.
Yeah,
probably not though.
Yeah, we could I mean, we just irradiate more villages that our jets like eventually like crashed into, you know.
Right.
Yeah. We wouldn't just fill them with nuclear ordnance.
So fucking you know what VTOLs are?
What now?
VTOLs.
No.
Vertical takeoff. Hold up, let me look up the acronym.
Yeah, one of the first things, because I've always hated acronyms.
Vertical takeoff and landing. So the fucking
like the Harriers and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Harriers. I was thinking the other day, there was one flying over my apartment complex and like doing aerial maneuvers, and those things crash all the fucking time.
Yeah, they do.
And I was thinking to myself, like, the military should like pay me a fucking stipend to be able to fly a VTOL over my fucking house.
Right?
Because, those things are fucking coffins.
Well, that and like I think the Marine Corps in particular crashes planes in like residential neighborhoods more often than they should.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah,
absolutely do.
I feel like it happened twice while I was living there.
Yeah, it's happened more than once, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that was why. Remember back when the military was doing like appreciation flyovers over neighborhoods and stuff.
Yeah.
I had called it in advance, but I was like, man, all these fucking flyovers, something's gonna go wrong with one of these fucking jets, and it's gonna crash into like a residential area. Weirdly enough, it didn't happen in America, but it happened in Canada because Canada
Oh.
decided we're gonna do military flyovers too to support all the frontline medical workers. A fucking plane in Canada like crashed into a bunch of fucking houses because, you know, the law of big numbers. You do enough fucking flyovers with enough jets that aren't properly maintained, something bad is gonna fucking happen.
Oh yeah. And I mean, like, and also, how expensive are these flyovers? They've got to be outrageously expensive.
Oh yeah, they're stupid fucking expensive.
Yeah, like
and it's like all they did, like, I didn't know that these were going on, and then it happened. Like, they flew right over the last place I was living at, like right over to where like it felt like there was a jet engine on top of us, and I recognized that as like rockets, and I thought that like maybe we were under attack. Like, I don't like to claim it a lot, but I do have some elements of PTSD, and I like immediately started freaking out. I told my partner to like get down and away from windows. I started like huddling while looking out the window, trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. Yeah.
Jesus.
Great to do that to like an area that has like a massive veteran community.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and actually I wonder how many homeless vets had some kind of a flashback, and then one
without
and
a
then,
doubt.
and then wondered, like, like how many months of rent they could have got for that military flyover.
Exactly.
That appreciative flyover.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. Yeah, it was. I just realized the United Nations climate change logo. Does that not look familiar to you?
Is that?
Look up the Comedy Central logo.
Oh yeah, I was like the old Coca-Cola logo.
No. Look up the
Colorado.
Comedy Central logo. I can't believe I never replaced this. That's not how you spell central, but I appreciate it.
Sorry, I have fat fingers.
Oh, well.
It's your fault for hiring me.
Oh my god, it's the Comedy Central logo, but the big C is just reversed on the Comedy Central one. That is fucking amazing. You just go to like images probably.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is.
Oh my god. Well, I'm gonna meme that later if I remember to.
So I think that, does this mean reality is like just like an elaborative simulation satire game?
It's always been that way. That's so great. Roll the rest of this. It's kind of funny how she ends it.
Transportation, defense, these are two of the biggest, that can make the biggest difference in all of that. And that is something we're very, very focused on. As I say, the Defense Department sees this systemically, that we have to stop it as a national security issue. And one way to do that is to stop our dependence on fossil fuels, which exacerbate the climate crisis. With that, I thank you all for being here. Unfortunately, they're telling us they have to clean the room. I didn't know about that.
I didn't know about that. All of a sudden, the cleaning crew is here and they gotta clean it.
That would be so amazing if.
Oh, we don't want to watch Trevor Noah. Get him out of here. We already talked about Comedy Central.
The most powerful cleaning lady in the world just shooed fucking the Speaker of the House out of a fucking conference hall.
Yeah.
That's great. You know,
Well,
if I believed it, but that would be great.
She's the UN Secretary General of Janitorial Services. So. Zoom in a little bit. So there's actually been a massive leak off the coast of California that I don't think has really been talked about a whole lot. I only heard about this because I set up a while back a Google alert for like keywords that involve oil, leaking, and water. And yeah, so apparently there was a massive oil leak off the coast of California. It turns out that when this oil leak happened, the drilling rig did not have proper leak detection equipment installed. So you know they were allowed to start drilling for oil without these like proper systems in place to detect leaks if they happened. So like the leak wasn't detected for some while, and it was only detected, I think, kind of out of chance. If we could go down a little bit. All right, so the ruptured offshore pipeline that spilled tens of thousands of gallons of crude oil out the Southern California coast this fall did not have a fully functioning leak detection system at the time, according to a report obtained by the Associated Press. The report was compiled by pipeline operator Beta Offshore, a subsidiary of Houston-based Amplify Energy, and filed with federal regulators. It reveals Amplify is investigating whether personnel or control room issues contributed to the incident, but does not explain what was wrong with the detection system. Keep going down. The report, filed last week and released to the AP under a public records request, gives no new details on a possible anchor strike on the pipeline from a cargo ship suspected to be the cause of the roughly 25,000-gallon spill. Coast Guard investigators have said that they suspect the pipeline began leaking after it was snagged by the drifting cargo ship during strong winds in January.
Oh, I didn't understand that thing had been leaking for a long time.
Uh-oh.
Because it was
Dorian has entered the chat. Now I'm gonna have to resize the windows and everything. Yeah.
I like Dorian better when he was just writing comments.
when he was just backseat.
Yeah, he's funnier too.
Yeah.
Oh shit, he's here.
Hey guys.
Hey, what's up?
Man, I'm sorry. I'm real. Are we still doing a pod tonight?
Yeah, you're only an hour late.
All right, cool. So what are we going to talk about? So we're going to go live in a few minutes then, or what's the plan?
Yeah, so get all your N-words out now.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do the ritual N-wording that we do before every podcast.
At the count of 3, 3, 2, 1. Oh man, I really should have had like a bleeping sound effect ready.
A better N-word prepped or something.
A funnier N-word.
Oh, cool. Thanks for joining the podcast, man. I don't know if you can see what's going on right now. Probably not.
No, what's up?
Oh no, we're just talking about oil.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
oil.
It's
Oil's pretty cool.
Go ahead.
It's just so much more shocking now that I assume like, oh, it had to have been, immediate that they realized that a pipe got dragged across the bay.
You would think so, but I mean, from what I understand, a lot of these oil pipelines are like very low pressure, and that's why you need like detection systems, because it's hard to tell what like a pressure drop is, because maybe there's like a lower production or something, and the pipe just isn't filled enough, and like the pump is like, the pump on the, because we're talking about like the oil is drilled, it's put into a pipe, the pipe goes underwater, rests along the seabed from what I understand, more or less, and then has to rise back up at the shore, and then there's a pumping station there that like keeps it going.
Yeah.
I've worked on low pressure systems like this before, and it's very hard to tell when something is leaking if you don't have good leak detection equipment. This is coincidentally why I left big pharma, because I worked on systems that were constantly leaking and there was not proper leak detection equipment installed on them. And one time I got gassed out by that, and I was like, maybe I don't want to die for big pharma. But yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Not. I don't want to interrupt, but I got to run. I actually have a podcast I need to. I'm an hour late for it, so just a quick pitch for everyone.
I resized the screens for you
live every Friday at 7:30 p.m. So yeah, you guys should check it out. So it's a great podcast. I do it with my buddy Michael Deebs and John, the producer. They're good. They're good guys. They're kind of mean to me sometimes, and they give me wedgies and stuff, but they're all right. Anyway, I'm like an hour and like 6 minutes late now. So anyway, I gotta go. This is really bad. They're probably gonna fire me. All right, I love you. Take my medicine.
He did the sign off. He busted the sign off nut early.
He checked his boxes, so I guess
that's great. You know what? I can respect that in some ways, not many ways.
Not many.
He showed up. He checked the boxes. You're right. We can't accuse him. We can't accuse him of not doing his job, because the job checklist is literally: did you talk on the podcast? Did you do the sign off? I should probably make the checklist a little bit more comprehensive.
I mean, I'll pay attention to it less that way, but go do you.
Yeah, well, I have to find a way to institutionalize this. Yeah, so oil leaks, bad.
Bad oil leaks.
Leak detection equipment that doesn't actually work, also bad. And really, there's a lot of ways that you can do leak detection, and one of them would be to double pipe these systems essentially. And so what you would do is you would have an open pipe, right? And then you would run the actual oil pipe inside of that open pipe. The open pipe would have, I don't know. You could do it both ways. You could have it where it's a vacuum, and so if it has positive pressure on it, you detect it that way. Or you could do it where it's got positive pressure, and if there's a pressure drop in that outer casing, then you know that, oh shit, something's gotten into this, or there's been a breakage in the pipe. There's multiple ways you can do this. Both are. Well, there's probably more than two ways.
Don't they have a what are they called, like volumetric flow counters at these charge stations?
Well,
like in between charge stations, like. Well, and I guess I don't know if they have them. I would assume that they would have them. Like, shouldn't like one charge station say we took in this much volume?
That is another way of doing that. That's why I kind of like stopped myself from saying both ways of doing this are fine. I was like, no, there's like 3 or 4 other ways that you could do this. And yeah, one of them is like measuring volumetric output, and then volumetric like input on the other side. Multiple ways you can do this. It's really just kind of like not that fucking expensive to install these systems versus how much money oil rigs make. Like, just fucking put that extra $3,000 into these fucking systems. I've assembled these kind of systems at a chemical plant before. I did it all using in-out boards and like programming in-out boards. Not that fucking hard. HC says double pipe is something you can promise but rarely happens. Yeah. Let's go ahead and go to the next link. This is Brian Williams is hanging up the podcaster hat. The news is just the podcast that we've gotten, institutionalized, I guess.
Yeah.
I keep saying institutionalized because he says something very interesting here. Which we can go ahead and scroll down. There'll be like a video player in here somewhere. Not that one with the big titty lady. This one, yes.
Well, look at the time. I'll try to keep this brief. After 28 years of peacock logos on much of what I own, it is my choice now to jump without a net into the great unknown, as I do for the first time in my 62 years. My biggest worry is for my country. The truth is, I'm not a liberal or a conservative. I'm an institutionalist. I believe in this place.
Yeah, let's go ahead and pause it there. What the fuck is an institutionalist without any kind of like guiding principle?
It just seems like a synonym for like fascist.
I mean, kind of, yeah, sort of. And this is the problem with liberalism is like, oh no, I'm not like he is a liberal. Let's not get this mixed up. He says, I'm not a liberal or a conservative. That's not the two sides of the coin, buddy. Liberal and conservative are like pretty much on the same edge as far as I'm concerned. But he says, I'm not a liberal or a conservative. That's a liberal perspective. I'm individualized. I'm taking a neutral stance. I'm a centrist. I believe in the institutions. What are the institutions without any fucking guiding principles is the problem.
Yeah.
They are nothing except for things that uphold probably bad law. And an institutionalist in I don't know, the early days of America would have been like, slavery is the law, buddy.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's an institutionalist. It's an institution. It's accepted. It's part of the operating culture of America. Being an institutionalist means nothing except for you just agree with whatever is happening at the time. So for him to take some kind of like pointed protest against like the anti-institutionalism that's happening, which you'll go into later, like fuck you, buddy. Like you are the reason that the anti-institutionalism happens, because you stand for nothing, you believe in nothing, you do nothing. All you can do is just agree with whatever is institutionalized.
So is he rage quitting, or is he pitching his new career where all these
I don't know what he's doing here. I don't know what he's doing
here.
I think he's retiring, kind of. But I also have this weird like conspiracy theory in the back of my mind that now that Chris Cuomo's fired and there's this massive gaping hole in the CNN primetime that like
they need another institutionalist over there.
Yeah, they need an institutionalist kind of guy. I don't know if that's what he's doing. That's just like a thought that I had. So I'm not going to claim that that's like the motivation here. It may be possible that he's just retiring.
So how about this? If he starts a podcast, fucking, we do another fucking shitting on fucking leftist podcast.
Yeah, right. the podcast is going to be called The Institutionalist with Brian Williams. And then he's just going to talk about like, yes, I love institutions. Institutions are great, aren't they? Well, are you criticizing institutions right now, buddy? I think you need to rethink that. Why would an institution exist if it was not just?
How are we going to get to the gulags if the trains aren't running?
Yeah, the train's got to run on time. Dorian in the Dorian in the comments says next week's workshop is on Nick Land, Nietzsche, and Bataille, and it's open to the public. Love you. Bye. Yes, join the Truncata workshop. TRUNCATA. You can find that at patreon.com/Truncata. You can message Dorian or myself, and we will give you free access to the workshop. Go on.
The darkness on the edge of town has spread to the main roads and highways and neighborhoods. It's now
My
at the local
God.
bar.
I've already paused because like
Yeah,
this
no,
is
this
again
is horrible.
like when like old white guys start talking about like scum on the road,
The
spreading
darkies
like
on the edge of
hurt.
the... I'm just kidding.
Exactly. It sounds like something that an old racist white guy says as he shakes his fist at some black teenagers.
Without a doubt.
And the bowling alley, at the school board and the grocery store.
Oh my
And it
God.
must be acknowledged and answered for. Grown men and women who swore an oath to our Constitution, elected by their constituents, possessing the kinds of college degrees I could only dream of, have decided to join the mob and become something they are not, while hoping we somehow forget who they were. They've decided to burn it all down with us inside. That should scare you to no end as much as it scares an aging volunteer fireman. To my coworkers, my love and thanks. And
I don't know where that comes from. I don't know where that... As much as it scares an aging volunteer fireman. I guess maybe he does volunteer firework. I don't know that, though.
And also, what's with the bragging on him? This is a what do you call it? A LinkedIn like fucking dating profile or whatever fucking people do on those things.
Yeah.
No, it's like one of those old VHSs from the dating agencies.
Brian Williams, MSNBC primetime newscaster, also volunteer aging fireman.
Scared of road herpes.
Yeah, scared of the darkness coming into town. Institutionalist.
So that's under his sexuality.
You almost got me there.
Everyone I've worked with has made me better at what I do. To my family, love and thanks doesn't begin to cover it, but now I have the time to better express it. My friends know who they are. No one's been blessed with better friends. To the guests on this broadcast, as you heard the nice man say a few minutes ago, it's always been about you. Otherwise, I'd be staring into the camera for an hour, 5 nights a week, and nobody wants to see that. You are the 11th hour, and
Literally
will
what he does,
continue
though.
to be the 11th hour. This is where I thank you, however, for being so great, for explaining these last 5 years. As a proud New Jersey native, this is where I get to say regrets. I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. What a ride it's been. Where else? How else was a kid like me going to meet presidents and kings and the occasional rock star? These lovely testimonials that I can never truly repay make me hyper aware that it has been and remains a wonderful life. It's as if I'm going to wake up tomorrow morning in Bedford Falls. The reality is, though, I will wake up tomorrow in the America of the year 2021, a nation unrecognizable to those who came before us and fought to protect it, which is what you must do.
I mean, it's also unrecognizable to those who came before us because, women.
That's just how time works, right?
Yeah. Women have jobs and only guys in blue, black, or tan uniforms are allowed to kill black people.
I bet this country is completely unrecognizable to I don't know, Christopher Columbus or like General Lee.
Now, my colleagues will take it from here. I will probably find it impossible to be silent and stay away from you and lights and cameras.
See, this is where I'm saying, like, I think there's an angle here.
And find out what I've missed and what's out there. Every weeknight for decades now, I've said some version of the same thing. Thank you for being here with us. Us, meaning the people who produce this broadcast for you. And you, well, without you, there's no us. I'll show myself out until we meet again. That is our broadcast for this Thursday night. Thank you for being here with us. And for all my colleagues at the networks of NBC News, good night.
Wonderful. Let's play him out with the music.
like I just like wonder like how many like people were just like vomiting into their coffee cups. Fucking.
Oh yeah, probably all of them.
Yeah.
Remember, this is the guy that lied about like being under fire while he was on the
Oh,
helicopter.
that's right. Yeah, that's this guy.
Not a man without his lies. Let's go ahead and take a quick fiver here. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Yeah. Okay, we are back. Sorry about that. I had to see to a man about I don't know. I got drunk and I had to take a piss. Let's go ahead and go to the next link.
Oh, Jesus.
Get that guy out of here. So we actually called this a long time ago that Chris Cuomo was probably helping his brother. This is not the kind of win that I like to have, but it's a win that I'm going to accept as real. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. I'm going to give us as a podcast a pat on the back for seeing this. You know, going back to this whole subject, the fact that Andrew Cuomo had to resign because of sexual harassment allegations, yeah, he should have had to, but he also murdered a fuck ton of elderly people in his state along the way.
Well, you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, and that was something that was way more provable in my mind, because there's direct policy decisions that he made that led to people with COVID being housed in elderly care facilities where elderly people are most prone to dying from COVID. But you know, whatever. The sexual assault stuff brought him down. It turns out that little bro Chris Cuomo, I said his name weird with like a list. Chris Cuomo because his last name is weird to say. And I was prepping myself for that, but I didn't do it properly. Anyways,
Cuomo.
Chris Cuomo.
Cuomo.
So two Italian boys just being Italians. Go ahead and scroll down to the body of the.
This is how CNN found out about it, because they could hear them yelling about it in the other room.
Look at that cheeky little guy. So CNN fired. Go back there. Yep. There you go. CNN fired primetime anchor Chris Cuomo on Saturday after new information came to light during a review of how he helped his brother, former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, respond to sexual harassment allegations. The news network said it has retained a law firm and will proceed with its investigation as appropriate, despite Cuomo's termination. CNN did not provide further detail on what information was uncovered during its review. So basically, the investigation has brought to light that Chris Cuomo was using his news media contacts to maybe get ahead of accusers and dig up dirt on accusers to dissuade them from accusing Andrew Cuomo. You know, like I said, this is something that we called on the podcast months ago, and now it's like finally reaching the mainstream where, yeah, duh, of course he fucking did this because they're both fucking weirdo creeps.
Yeah. And so next podcast prediction, that this is going to uncover that Chris Cuomo was helping his brother sexually assault women.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. No,
They were doing
I mean,
together.
there was already an allegation that Chris Cuomo sexually assaulted somebody that he worked with in the past, so it stands to reason that maybe they were doing some of these kind of things together. We'll find out, but I do stand with the prediction that it's going to come out that they may have been in cahoots. Cuomo hoots. Nah, that pun doesn't work. Sorry. I tried it. I tried it in my mind. It worked in my mind. It didn't work out loud. Let's go to the CNN communications statement. Statement from CNN. Chris Cuomo was suspended earlier this week pending further evaluation of new information that came to light about his involvement with his brother's defense. We retained a respected law firm to conduct the review and have terminated him effective immediately. While in the process of that review, additional information has come to light. Whoa. Despite the termination, we will investigate as appropriate. Let's go ahead and go to the next thing.
Sure.
Because it turns out Chris Cuomo has a severance package as part of his contract, I guess to the tune of $18 million, which, Jesus Christ, I would get myself fired too if I had $18 million in it. but not that way. I would get myself fired a different way.
Yeah, like taking a shit in like the fucking
Yeah, or
fridge.
like saying Joe Biden's a motherfucker on live TV or something. Like, I would get myself fired a legitimate way, like a man, not like a weirdo creep.
Yeah.
So Alan Dershowitz has come to the aid, and God, I hope this is a pairing that happens, because it will just say so much about the situation. Alan Dershowitz says he thinks Chris Cuomo will win his $18 million contract fight with CNN. I don't think anybody really asked for Alan Dershowitz to throw his hat into the ring here, but I think he's throwing his hat into the ring anyways. I hope that Chris takes him on as a lawyer, because, like I said, it will say a lot about the situation. Reports have suggested that Cuomo is considering pursuing CNN for $18 million, said to be the remaining value of his multi-year contract with the network. Dershowitz, a Harvard professor emeritus, which is a weird way to describe somebody that's been on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, said in an interview on the right-leaning network Newsmax that Cuomo, CNN's former top anchor, hadn't misled anyone during his time there. So let's go ahead and go to the next link, because Alan Dershowitz is a weird character, and that is such a huge banner. Just scroll down, I think. More like Alan Dorksowitz. You're right. Shitwitz. Dork Shitwitz. Yeah. Alan Dershowitz helped sex offender Jeffrey Epstein get a plea deal. Now he's tweeting about age of consent laws. Go ahead and go down. I think there's tweets somewhere embedded in here.
Jesus Christ. So fucking highly educated pedophile Alan Dershowitz.
Yes, highly educated pedophile who has been on Jeffrey Epstein's plane. Like I said, go back to the last article real quick. Dershowitz, a Harvard professor emeritus. Like I said, weird way to describe a sex predator. Go back to the Vox article. Let's see. There's got to be I think there's tweets somewhere in here.
Tweets.
If not, he talked about how like the age of consent should actually be like 14 or 16 or some shit like that. Weird guy, not a person I would want on my side. Yeah, like I said, one of Epstein's accusers says Dershowitz abused her too. Professor Emeritus sexual abuser Alan Dershowitz. Who can say?
Oh man, it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, no. If you guys want to go on a weird ride, look up Alan Dershowitz and Jeffrey Epstein. There we go. I stand by the constitutional, not moral, argument I offered in my controversial op-ed. If a 16-year-old has the constitutional right to have an abortion without state or parental interference, how could she not have the constitutional right to engage in consensual sex? Because we're talking about 16-year-olds on 16-year-olds, not weird old dudes riding in planes headed to what is it, Little St. John Island or whatever.
Fucking adrenochrome. Fucking
yeah,
island.
Drinking adrenochrome while they commit sexual assault on teenagers. Let's go ahead and we need a palate cleanser at this point. I thought in doing all the links, so we'll look at some Dave Rubin stuff.
Yeah, to wash away my rage and just fill it with disdain.
Fill it with different rage.
Berry flavored rage.
I would like to impart to the to the listener and the viewer that I don't know how to have happiness. So I spend all day looking at the worst things I can find, and then I go, you know what? Let's make fun of Dave Rubin. That'll be fun. So this is Dave Rubin, and he's got an interesting analogy between people who don't want to get vaccinated and The Holocaust.
Oh my God. Why can't people help themselves?
Yesterday I showed you a video of a 92-year-old Holocaust survivor.
Okay.
Who survived Auschwitz. That was really the most brutal of all the concentration camps. And talking about how this stuff, the creeping side of authoritarianism, how it happens incrementally. First, you sort of talk about those people in that certain way. Those people are diseased. Those people are dirty. Those people are greedy. Those people.
What the fuck?
The leap he makes from like, those people are dirty, those people are diseased, they're greedy too. Like, buddy, that's not where the Jewish criticism started. It didn't start with they're dirty, they're diseased. And to be fair, nobody's like, I mean, yeah. There is the liberal notion that, oh, you're not going to take the vax. This is the pandemic of the unvaccinated. Yeah, obviously all that kind of rhetoric is happening. But what like is actually happening out of that besides you can't work for the federal government unless you're vaccinated? You guys believe in the fucking free market, right? Don't work for the federal government if you believe in the free market. Dave Rubin, as an anti-federalist kind of person, should be like, no, we shouldn't work for the federal government anyway, so fuck him. Fucking asinine, stupid, fuck him, what an idiot. Continue.
Has he been wrinkling or ironing his forehead?
I mean, he probably gets Botox or some shit. He's pretty fucking rich, despite the fact that he's one of the dumbest people that has ever like been placed in front of a camera, me notwithstanding. But like,
Well,
he's got
I mean,
a crew on the other side of the camera. I just have a fucking Logitech on top of my monitor.
And at least you can read your teleprompter instead of stare at it incredulously.
I actually have a little side screen that's somebody just miming the words to me because I'm illiterate. I'm just really quick on the take up in mouth reading.
I can only read in pictographs and gesticulations.
I have somebody live translating all of the words on the screen into hieroglyphics, which I interpret. Continue this clip.
Let's listen to this idiot.
People are evil. Then you say those people shouldn't be on those benches because there's other benches they can be on, and they shouldn't be at our schools because they can have their own schools, and they shouldn't go on these buses, and they shouldn't go into these theaters. Maybe they shouldn't shop at the same hours as us, and the series of things that happen slowly, because now
Go ahead and
it's very
pause real
strange
quick.
what's happened.
You could say all these same things about pedophiles. First they say that these people are dirty, they're diseased, they're greedy, they don't belong on these benches, they shouldn't be allowed around schools. Why are they talking to my daughter?
First they tell them where to live.
Now you gotta talk to all your neighbors when you move in. This is like the dumbest way that you could possibly relate the actual tragedy of the Holocaust to people who just don't want to fucking get a vaccine because big pharma.
I want to spend $13,000 for regenerative RNA, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, which again, I understand why people would have criticisms of big pharma.
Yeah,
I
of
understand why large swaths of the community are mistrusting of the vaccine because there's been a lot of really bad things that have happened with big pharma, of course. But to say that these are the same things as Holocaust victims is frankly possibly the dumbest fucking thing you could say.
Yeah. I went to get my vaccine where all the white people go to get their vaccines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't go to the
You
majority black or Hispanic neighborhoods to get my vaccines.
you didn't go to Tuskegee, Oklahoma to get your vaccine?
No. I didn't go to Pflugerville, our Tuskegee, Oklahoma.
Yeah, you didn't
I
go
guess.
to fucking Flint, Michigan to get your vaccine.
Yep. No.
Yeah.
Yep. All those people have a syphilis AIDS. And
Yeah,
and
they got something. The government tested something on them.
Yeah.
I was lucky. I was working for the government when the vaccine came out, so I got like first in line. This is the government vaccine treatment, and a lot of white people in the government, so I think I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, but they know they know your race for sure, you know. Like I went in there blind.
Yeah, but I didn't schedule an appointment.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
To all of us in the last 2 years. If you would have asked most people 2 years ago, like, how did the Nazis come to power? How could something so obviously evil come to power? Most people really wouldn't know. You wouldn't really understand. Yeah, you could read it in a textbook and you could go, oh, there was this guy Hitler and he was this really great speaker and Germany was really upset after World War I.
No, nobody knows how the Nazi Party came to be.
I mean, they put it in books.
It wasn't that Germany like suffered a major loss in World War I, and they had this like national disgrace, and a response to that national disgrace was like an increased level of nationalism that reared its ugly head. And there just happened to be like an opportunistic leader who was there ready to like harness the power of this response and nationalism, and also promised like an economic future to a bunch of people who were struggling financially. Nobody knows how Hitler came to power except for like good speaker.
Not that he was an authoritarian oh shit, words. Fucking populist. Yeah.
Yeah, not that he
But,
was
you
an
know,
authoritarian populist that was like
yeah.
promising people something that they had lost. He was
Yeah.
just a really good speaker, and nobody knows how he came to power.
Yeah, no, that
I
would
wish to
sound
be
too
as
much
dumb as
like
Dave Rubin is.
Yeah, you know, like
To be
I
this
keep-
oblivious to like everything, that would be fucking amazing.
See, that does like drain my like rage away when I do realize how fucking dumb he is, you know. But I wonder how dumb he is. Like, do you think he's so dumb that because like I feel like he's trying to avoid the fact nobody knows, because it would sound too much like an old orange dick that he keeps in his mouth.
I've seen and read lots of interviews with people that have known Dave Rubin personally, and from what it sounds like is he and his husband are like a traveling duo, and his husband, who doesn't ever appear on camera ever. I've watched a lot of Dave Rubin. I've never seen Dave Rubin's husband. We don't have to look him up. Oh,
It's fucking it's
from
goals.
everything. Yeah, from what everything I've read and heard, it seems that Dave Rubin's husband is kind of like the brains behind the operation. Which, yeah, look at the guy. Who could trust that guy? And he kind of writes everything for Dave Rubin.
Oh,
and Dave just kind of like repeats it no matter what it is up on the screen. So,
gosh, fucking, it's just so weird seeing like I actually
right-wing gaze.
Right-wing gaze, yeah. Because like look, they're like, it's like, grandma, I will touch his hand. I won't clasp his hand because I respect you and your archaic fucking arcane fucking superstitions.
And I swear to God, Grandma, we will kiss when the pastor says we can.
Not before. Is that a piece of broccoli? Okay, let's go back to this.
Yeah. We never needed to see that. Excellent. There we go. Continue this.
And they were economically depressed and they needed a scapegoat. And you can sort of intellectualize it at some level. But how does that get you to, we're going to exterminate 6 million of our people. We're going to launch a war and millions and millions.
How does scapegoating an entire race lead to extermination of that race? Gee, Dave, I have no fucking idea. How could that possibly happen? How could it be that we blame all of our problems on one group of people, but we're gonna just kill them? What? Who would ever think of that? Who would ever think of we blame it all on the Jews, and then people start thinking, hey, well, maybe we should just kill these Jewish people.
It couldn't have been that they wanted their shit either.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't have been that.
Yeah, it couldn't have been that, like, whatever you want to believe about the Jews. They were pretty financially successful in a lot of areas of Europe, and people saw that as like some kind of plot. When it was really just that, like, the Jewish culture was very business minded. And there are criticisms to be made about, like, the business minded aspect of Jewish culture for sure, but that doesn't mean that you kill 6 million Jews because they're business minded when you yourself are a capitalist as well, right? Those Jews are so good at business. I'm not as good at business. I should kill them. Yeah, no, there was a financier class of Jewish businessmen who made it very successfully in Europe. But there's also been lots of successful German financiers. There's lots of financiers of every kind of European. It just so happened that Jews had a different religion in a place that was, increasingly Puritan and, I mean, either Catholic or Protestant, but Christian, and Jews had a different belief where they did not believe that Jesus was the Messiah. There's so many things at play here that could be worked off of. But yeah, the oh, you got a scapegoat and then we just kill the scapegoat? What? Who would ever think of that? Like, what a fucking idiot. Continue, please.
Millions of Russians are going to be killed, and we're going to rampage across Europe and all of those things. And how do you turn citizen against citizen and make people that were neighbors, next thing you know, literally shooting their neighbors and having them dig their own ditches and all the extraordinary horrors that are almost too crazy to mention, right? How does it happen? Well, I think if you asked most people 2 years ago, they would have given you some intellectual version of it, where in the last 2 years, I think we can all kind of see it at this point. You can kind of see it. You can kind of see how for 2 years you would demonize. Those people shouldn't go on planes, happening in Canada right now. Those people shouldn't go on trains, happening in Canada right now. Those people should be put in quarantine.
Can we pause real quick? Those people should not go on trains is the exact opposite of what happened in the Holocaust. Just gonna point out that little inconsistency right there. Germany in the 1930s, famous for not putting Jewish people on trains.
Yeah, they weren't. You couldn't find a Jew on a train in Germany.
Yeah, you couldn't find, I don't know, an entire cargo train full of Jewish people headed to an extermination camp on train. Yeah,
they Ubered.
Yeah, they walked themselves into it, if you ask some people. That didn't feel good coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, Holocaust denialism.
That was a sarcastic comment. YouTube moderators or Mark Zuckerberg, whoever's reviewing this.
We would never doubt the Holocaust.
We would never doubt the Holocaust. Or the Holodomor. All sides. I'm a centrist. Radical centrist. Go ahead.
Radical institutionalist, proceduralist.
Radical institutionalist.
Institutionalist is my sexuality and proceduralist is my pronouns.
What are your pronouns?
Proceduralist.
Bureau and Crossy. Please play this.
Camps for them happening in Australia right now. Those people shouldn't be able to go into certain stores without showing their papers, happening in New York City right now, happening in Los Angeles right now. So the slow creep of these things is, I think, showing us something very, very evil, but very important to know.
You know, You have so I work as a contractor in school districts, right?
Right.
I have to show my papers, not even before the pandemic. I
Yeah, I
had
was
to
gonna say
prove to them that I
you
was
you
not
had
a
to show that
pedophile.
you're the contractor that they asked to come over.
Yeah, I've got to get background checks. I've got to promise I'm not a pedophile. Fucking all kinds of things.
As I said in the top, these are all things you could say about pedophiles. They shouldn't be allowed on these benches. They shouldn't be allowed near school districts. So, who's really to say, you know, whether or not anti-vaxxers are Jewish or pedophiles?
This kind of reminds me of like the like extreme fucking like Second Amendment fucking R words that they like to make this exact same comparison. Like, oh, like I can't fucking like walk into a daycare with a fucking AR-15, and it's like, no, you shouldn't walk into a
No, that's
daycare with a
weird,
fucking
dude.
AR-15.
Like, you also shouldn't like shop for groceries with your fucking AR-15. If you're gonna be so serious about something like the Second Amendment that you're carrying around a gun in the fucking grocery store, you should probably just fucking grow your own crops if you're gonna be that like radically independent, which is something I agree with. I agree with that kind of radical independence where I would like to start growing my own crops eventually. I'm also not walking into the Albertsons around the corner from me wielding a fucking assault rifle.
Yeah. And I mean, it's also just such a dumb weapon to be walking around fucking stores with.
Yeah, right? Like, yeah, you and I spent months of our lives having to have an M16 attached to us at all times. That shit is incredibly inconvenient.
It's super fucking inconvenient.
You sling it around as much as you can. You put it on your back. You maybe need to reach something on the lower shelf, and now it's like fucking dug into the ground and like banging on your ass, and like makes you feel uncomfortable because you know you got a round full of or a magazine full of rounds inserted into it, and you don't want to like accidentally fucking shoot somebody. Like if you really walk around with a rifle all the time, you realize like how stupid walking around with a rifle all the time is.
Yeah, it's like in World War II, freaking soldiers and service members had bruises on their thumbs from the M1 Garand, but we have a fucking bar-shaped bruise on our fucking shins.
Exactly.
Fucking
Yes.
Banging it into shit, just fucking all the time.
Oh fuck! I remember a guy that we deployed with was he was kind of like walking at like a steady pace or something. He tripped over something. He had his rifle in front of him, like slung down towards the ground, and the rifle dug into the ground. The butt went directly into his fucking lip, and he did like fucking like 10 stitches to repair his goddamn lip because he was walking around with a rifle all the time and tripped. Like, that's the consequence of walking around with a fucking rifle all the time. At the very least, walk around with a pistol. You still look a little bit silly when you're in the fucking grocery store with a pistol, but you're not gonna like destroy your fucking face with a fucking pistol.
Yeah, at least there's that. Yeah.
Let's go to the next Dave Rubin clip. This is incredible. You may not know it, but there's a possibility that we're in a Cold War, a civil Cold War right now. Go ahead and play it.
This is a real problem because there's a set of people who are basically Cobra Commander from the old G.I. Joe cartoon. Remember every episode.
Sorry. Who the fuck? I played with G.I. Joes as a kid. Every boy around my age probably played with G.I. Joes as a kid, right?
Yeah.
Do I ever reference anything in terms of like, oh, this is just like when Cobra Commander fought I don't know who main G.I. Joe guy is, because I don't fucking care. I don't care.
This was just like when the White Ranger became the evil Green Ranger, and
This is just like when it turned out in Dark Souls, when you become hollow, you go insane. I would never reference real life in those terms because I understand the difference between what like child literature is and what real life is. But this is something Dave Rubin does a lot, where he talks about things like Thanos from the Avengers.
I think it's the closest thing he's gotten to reading.
I think it is too, and now he's talking about Cobra Commander from G.I. Joe. Could you maybe, like, I don't know, at least upgrade to like Darth Vader or something, right? Like get a little bit more ingrained into the popular culture if you're gonna start making dumbass fucking references like this.
Yeah.
Continue, please.
G.I. Joe ended with Cobra Commander trying to control the world, right? He'd have a weather machine or some crazy space laser or some underground thing, and he wanted to control the entire world. And then at the end, he couldn't get it, so if I can't have it, nobody can. And that's sort of what they want to do, meaning they want to just destroy the whole damn thing if they don't get everything that they want. So are we going to end up in some sort of like cold civil war situation? Probably. We're probably in it right now. You know, and it doesn't mean that we have neighbor attacking neighbor, although in some cases we do.
Pause.
Wonderful.
We're probably in it right now. And that doesn't mean neighbor attacking neighbor. Like, oh, okay, then what is the Civil War then? What is actually happening that is Civil War adjacent, that we're in a cold Civil War right now and we don't know it?
I guess it's that more and more people wake up every day realizing that they can't survive in a capitalist society. Is that the
cold Civil War?
That the cold Civil War?
Yeah, the cold Civil War is like, and I talked to people that are kind of like nominally on the right on the same subject, and I think everybody kind of agrees. Like, I don't even necessarily want communism myself. But people on the right are like, yeah, this whole like financialization thing is fucked up and it's not working, and it's like destroying our country. I don't really care about our country necessarily. I care about a grander scheme of things, which is like, you know, people in other countries as well. But you know, the nationalist tendency is to be like, hey, this financialization thing is destroying our nation. I'm more of the opinion that this financialization thing is destroying our world. But like mostly people just agree that like capitalism is not fucking working.
Yeah. Well,
but we're in a cold civil war, according to the dumbest guy I've ever heard talk.
Yeah, because some people just hate having things or something. I don't. Is he going to explain it?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, has he ever? No, I guess not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead and play
progressive cities. And I would hope it would never come to anything that would be any more physically violent. Like, we got to figure out ways. But the thing is, if you want to be left alone and the other guy just doesn't want to leave you alone, you got a real problem on your hand. And that's what we have to figure out. And I think that that's what DeSantis is really focused on in Florida. He's going, look, Biden's ridiculous. The federal government's out of control. I can't fix all that. What I can do is fix what's going on in the borders of my state. And I think that's how we should all be dealing with the borders of our own property and where we want to live and everything else.
So DeSantis, I believe he's anti-abortion. I might need to be fact checked on that. But he invokes the name of DeSantis. I don't think DeSantis is doing anything to like protect people, anything like that. DeSantis is a weirdo, like right-wing nut job. Probably going to be a presidential contender in 2024. Get ready for that, folks. It's gonna be fun, and it's so great that we have such a strong Democratic presidential leader right now that's doing a lot for the nation, so that people will question a Republican vote. Never mind. We don't have that.
Yeah.
So the last thing I would like to touch on, and I'm sorry, we're kind of going a little bit late here, but well, not the last thing. Second to last thing I'd like to touch on is immigration in the United Kingdom. Go ahead and go to the next link. And also how liberal responses to the right don't work. So this headline says Johnson not serious on solving channel crossings, says Macron. Macron is France's president. The subtitle here is "You don't communicate via tweets and open letters," French President Emmanuel Macron says. So this is like the liberal tendency to trust the institution. Hey, we don't talk through Twitter. We don't talk through open letters. We talk through communications between leader to leader. And basically what Johnson was saying at this point. This is 3 weeks ago, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. Well, scroll down actually just a little bit. November 26th, 2021. So yeah, like 2 weeks ago. So Boris Johnson is talking about like turning away people at the Channel crossing. There are people migrating from France to the UK through the Channel. Boris Johnson is saying, "Oh, we should turn these boats away, governor." It's okay to be racist against English people. And
Wholeheartedly agree.
What happens is you turn these people away while they're trying to cross the channel, and then they die in the middle of the channel. I think just last week I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in London, and she was telling me that like 20 or 30 people have died in the channel because of this policy over the last couple of days. And so you have this neo-lib asshole who is Emmanuel Macron saying, that's not how you talk to each other. There's no way to say that Boris Johnson is being serious right now, because you very indicative of the kind of rhetoric that surrounded Donald Trump, which was like a presidential decree can't be given through Twitter, and then you see like the institutions of government following whatever Trump said through Twitter. It turns out whenever the head of an organization says something, no matter what medium it's said through, that resonates through the institution, which is why being an institutionalist is fucking bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting angry. So we see this limp-wristed, dumb fucking response to what Boris Johnson is saying from Emmanuel Macron. Emmanuel Macron is a neo-lib, which is, resonant with like fascist enabler, because they don't actually ever propose any kind of like resistance to fascism. They just say things like, "That's not how you do fascism. You got to go through the proper channels." And then let's go to the next.
There's a procedure.
Yeah, there's a procedure to doing fascism, and you're not following it. So, what is the Nationality and Borders Bill? Priti Patel's UK immigration plan explained and what it means. Government plans to strip people of their British citizenship without warning under the Nationality and Borders Bill have been criticized. So basically this is like a very right-wing immigration bill. It passed. So, when Macron says, "Oh, Boris Johnson is not being serious about turning people away at the channel," this passed. So this is now law in the United Kingdom. The bill, which seeks to curb English Channel crossings and change how asylum claims are processed, was subject to just 9 minutes of debate on Wednesday after Deputy Speaker Dom Eleanor Lang accused opposition MPs of delaying tactics. 9 minutes.
Delaying
tactics. we have like 20.
You're saying that Boris Johnson wasn't serious about
Oh, okay.
the
So
border
you have Emmanuel Macron saying Boris Johnson isn't serious, and then you have a real legislative effort in the country to make it happen, and it does happen. And now now channel crossings are going to be turned away, and that's why 20 to 30 people have died in the last couple of days, because this is now law. This is now what's being followed. Did I say the thing about the delaying tactics? I got that.
Oh
out,
yeah,
right?
that's
okay.
that's where it cut off. I heard filibuster, and then that was it.
Oh yeah, so we
Yeah.
have like 20-hour fucking filibusters in our country, but 9 minutes of fucking debate is delaying tactics. So yeah, no, this is now law. And one of the central figures to making this law is Priti Patel. Priti Patel is a real weirdo, if you ask me. She's been kind of spearheading this effort. You may recognize Priti Patel as not an English name, and you would be right in recognizing that. I've got the. Oh, we don't have to look up Priti Patel. It's on the next link.
Oh, okay, fine.
Yeah. I already thought about this, son. So yeah, not knowing exactly what was lost in conversation. Fuck Boris Johnson. Fuck Priti Patel. Fuck Emmanuel Macron for not like having an actual response to either of them. Let's go to the Priti Patel Wikipedia real quick. Patel was born on 29. You don't have to zoom out. No. It was on the right.
Oh, you want it at 300?
Yeah, man.
You're getting
I gotta have the big letters. I'm illiterate. Somebody is translating this into hieroglyphics, and then I'm interpreting it.
They're just making the shapes of the letters in their bodies. You can only communicate through YMCA dancers.
Look, you're really throwing them off. I'm having to memorize all the things they've been translating this entire time. Patel was born on 29 March 1972 to Sushil and Anjana Patel in London. Her paternal grandparents were born in Gujarat, India, before emigrating to Uganda and running a convenience store in Kampala. In the 1960s, her parents emigrated to the UK and settled in Hertfordshire. So she is a first-generation immigrant, essentially. Who is gatekeeping, gaslighting, and girl bossing anybody who's trying to immigrate to the UK. And this is, we talked about it a little bit earlier, IDPOL like failing all the time. This is another failure of IDPOL, where you have a POC girl boss who is running the institution of cruel fascism. And now to the point where people are being turned away in boats instead of like, deport them, I guess, if you really want to, if you really have to. You don't have to. There's never an instance where people have to be deported economically. So any arguments against like assimilating people into your culture are fucking false. Whatever. If you really feel like you have to deport them, at least take them in and take care of them and then deport them. She's stopping it before you take them in. And what is happening is people are dying in the English Channel now. Fuck her. Fuck Boris Johnson. Fuck Emmanuel Macron because he sucks and he can't fucking actually perform resistance against these people. That's the problem with liberalism. It's the problem that liberalism has always had. That's why everything's fucked up.
So is it a form of benign racism to feel that like your fascist overlords are more humane if they're the same color as you?
Well, here's the thing. In a situation, and I'm glad that you brought that up because this is a point I wanted to make, but I lost it when I was starting to get angry. in the situation of somebody like Priti Patel, right? You have these external forces, of course, and the external forces are saying if you're different, you shouldn't be in Britain, you shouldn't be in the UK, and if you're somebody who's already assimilated into the culture, what you do is you align with the majority of the culture, and you say, yeah, you're right. These people who are coming in, dirty, weird, we don't like them. I'm one of you though, so we agree they're dirty, weird. I'm one of you. It's internalized in that way. So in some ways, like, yeah, it's understandable why she's doing this. In other ways, like, have a fucking backbone, you goddamn worthless piece of shit.
Was it Cornel West that called people of color like this? I think he calls them.
I will probably make some attempt to link to this if I can. But there was a really good talk on Jacobin's podcast with Adolf and Toure Reed about calling black leaders who do this kind of thing or who align with like the neoliberal class. You shouldn't call them sellouts because first off, it's a mistake to assume that there's a driving political force behind all of black culture, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't say that every black person has the same politics, and so when you discuss things like whether or not there's a black vote, you're making a mistake because there's not a black vote. There are different sections of black people who believe wildly different things, who come to different conclusions out of, you know, the circumstances they live in, whatever. There's no such thing as a black vote. There's no such thing as a Latino vote. There's no such thing as in you know the UK's case here. There's no such thing as like Priti Patel being a representative of Indians in her country or Ugandans in her country. Because there's such a level of atomization first off that none of these groups necessarily feel like they are always connected to each other, and secondly, even if they are connected to each other, as we all know, as people who are on the left to some degree, leftists fucking hate each other all the time. we disagree all the goddamn time, right? HCA says, as a Hispanic, this sadly rings true. I think you mean as a Latinx, which is what 2% of people who are Hispanic identify as. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing where people say that, oh, the Democratic Party has to win over the Latin vote. Well, how do you win over a vote of people who don't agree on everything?
Yeah.
I am technically Hispanic, and I am wildly different than my parents, and I don't even know my like actual birth parents to a lot of degrees. I mean, I know my mother, but I don't know like my father's side of things and what he believes in and what his family believes in. And I'm pretty sure that I'm just like fucking misaligned with all of them to some degree. There's no such thing as a Latin vote. There's no such thing as a black vote. There's very little such a thing as a white vote. The only reason a white vote exists is because whiteness is a marker of purity in our culture, and people have like improperly aligned themselves with whiteness. They're kind of cajoled into it to some degree. But even saying that there's such a thing as a white vote is also a misnomer of the situation. Let's look at the last link here before we take off.
Uh-oh.
Unless you got something you want to add. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry, you froze.
I talked over a POC again.
Yeah. And in fact, I will burn your local target down for it.
Please do.
Yeah.
I'm actually gonna make a video pretty soon about burning down targets.
Everybody should burn down targets.
That's not a claim I'm making out loud that pointedly. Some people who may be John the producer think that, but I certainly do not espouse that.
I mean, as a proceduralist, as long as you fill out the proper forms.
Oh yeah, that's really all it
Yeah.
comes down to, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, my pronouns are bureau and crossy. Let's go to the last link. So Redditors are spamming Kellogg's job portal in solidarity with its striking workers. Kellogg's is trying to hire scabs. Scabs,
Fucking scabs.
if you know the terminology of unions and worker rights, scabs are people who a company hires whenever the worker goes on strike to fill the position of all those workers so that they can just ignore the worker demands. It would be the wrong thing to say that scabs are bad people. Scabs are usually people who are desperate for a job. That's one of the major problems in like the capitalist system that we work under. You can see it in such works as The Grapes of Wrath, where I forget is it Tom Joad? Is that the protagonist?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm bad with names.
No. Tom Joad is somebody that the protagonist thinks about. Haven't read the book in a while. Anyways,
yeah, it's been years.
The family in The Grapes of Wrath starts working for an agricultural company. They're picking apples or grapes or something like that. And then the company decides that they can hire people for cheaper. And the protests of the workers, because this is during the Dust Bowl, and so people are desperate for work. The protests of the workers are pushed to the side by people who are willing to work for less because they're desperate for anything. This is what happens with scabs.
Which like another thing too, like when a company, like, not just, like solidarity and like fuck scabs, but oftentimes I don't think it was this I can't remember if the John Deere tractor workers did actually go on strike, but they'd gone on strike before.
No, they did go on strike.
They did? Okay.
I believe they reached an agreement, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, and I think I might be thinking of a time in the past, but there was a like John Deere tractors, gut quality machinery, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're willing to cut the quality of their product to turn a buck. And
exactly.
They had hired a bunch of scabs for a factory and sold a bunch of subpar, poorly put together tractors, and were willing to like blemish the brand identity for that season of production.
Yeah, because they still make money regardless of whether or not the brand identity is blemished, because they're also the sole proprietors of a certain sect of equipment, essentially. Like right to repair laws and stuff like that have meant that third parties can't produce parts that could be used in John Deere tractors. You have to go through a John Deere approved manufacturer, or you have to go through John Deere itself. Yeah, so they're willing to take on these losses because they know that it's like Apple, right? Apple,
yeah.
And this is something I understand better because I'm a fucking nerd. Apple works off of its own product supply. So if Apple workers go on strike, the only way that you can replace a part in an Apple computer, iPhone, tablet, whatever, is with an Apple approved product, because that's how they've worked out their economy. So they will absolutely sell you an inferior replacement to whatever part needs to be replaced, but it's the only part that you can replace it with, because they're the only people that have the specs to even create that part in the first place. But they'll sell you that inferior product just because they know that it'll still turn a buck. And yeah, it's an inferior product, but you need it anyways.
Yeah. When all those people who bought tractors that production season would have done better to just get another brand of tractor that had experienced workers that I guess hopefully they were paying better than John Deere was paying.
Yeah.
Because you can't get fucking parts to it or whatever. Which I don't know. Can you not get John Deere parts?
No, I don't believe you can. John Deere is at the center of like a huge right to repair like lawsuit right now of states.
They're probably gonna win.
They are probably gonna win, unfortunately. There has been some areas of success in these lawsuits, but like there's still like a huge case there, I think. But also, you know, when you think about something like, yeah, they could just get a different kind of tractor, like a different tractor manufacturer, right? Like,
well, I mean, after you bought it, you can't. You got to keep that thing for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, even if you think that like, hey, I need to repair this thresher, I can either pay like a shit ton of money to John Deere for a repair part for this thresher, or I can go through a different company, right? There is a homogenization of like work utilities, right? So I work in facilities. All of my tools are Makita. I can't swap out a battery between a Milwaukee drill and a Makita drill. I need to have Makita batteries and Makita drills to operate that. And if I already have the Makita drills and batteries, I might as well have a Makita angle grinder, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of these things where they have to make these changes between equipment sets, they need to be part of the same company, part of the same build. And if there's if it's illegal to produce parts for a John Deere tractor outside of the John Deere manufacturer, then there's no right to repair, there's no right to replacement except for through the company.
Yeah, all the technicians have to be approved or work for the corporation.
Exactly.
And they'll replace them with technicians that don't know how to repair John Deere tractors,
but
as long as
that profit is kept through the company, they'll keep doing that kind of stuff, which is exactly what Kellogg's is trying to do, which is say, oh yeah, we'll hire some people that have no idea how to cut oats or whatever, but there are cut oats and there are brands, so we're going to make the money off of it.
Or clean the machinery properly, because there's no trainer, I'm guessing, to train these people. I'm hoping that whoever the lead line guy is one of these guys standing here.
I mean, he looks like a lead line guy, right? HC says in the comments, dude, we lost the Kellogg's strike as far as I know. Yeah, I don't think it looks good for Kellogg's strikers right now. There's been a bunch of effort to shut down the Kellogg's recruiting portal, but it's a company with a lot of money and they can probably create more and more portals. I mean, once a company reaches the level of hiring scabs, the battle has kind of been lost to a certain degree. And it's helpful that Joe Biden came out actually and he said, this is troubling. He didn't do anything legislatively to like change it. He didn't issue an executive order. He didn't like say, hey, Kellogg's, either you fucking agree with your workers or we'll stomp your dicks in with the U.S. military. We only do that when there's brown people coming across the border. Instead, what he did is he said, very naughty of you, Kellogg's.
I wish I could tell my boss this is troubling and then just like walk out of the room.
We've all wanted to be there, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well,
I guess I have to run for president.
John McKinnon, 2028?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That gives me enough time.
Yeah. Plenty of time. Yeah. Groom yourself.
Yeah.
Wake up on time for podcasts.
I did wake up on time for my podcast.
You did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I brought that up. That's on me.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've expended any amount of interest that could be put into this episode. If you listened so far, thank you very much for listening. If you would like to support this broadcast, the Benzo Rehab Dungeon will always be a free broadcast. However, if you would like to donate to the cause, patreon.com/BenzoRehabDungeon. You can also join us on the workshop that Danko runs, patreon.com/Truncata, TRUNCATA. You can either message, or you can go there, or you can message either Danko or myself, and we'll give you access to the workshop. We love to have new faces there. Yeah. I don't think you have anything to pitch, John.
Yeah, no, just that
No OnlyFans yet?
No, I've got a plan. I'm waiting for the listener to buy me a VR headset, and then I will just record myself playing VR games. Not show them the VR games. It'll just be the camera focused on me naked playing a VR game.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's gonna take off.
I honestly,
Yeah.
I honestly think you're gonna have more responses to that than you may want.
It'd be great. I just get 5 Oculuses in the mail.
As always, we love you. Please take your medicine. I'm Dorian. Please take mine too.
And make sure to share with your friends.
All right. We love you guys. Bye.
Bye.